Top 5 mistakes not to make in collecting. Hey, it's Chris the Batman Statue Collector. Welcome back once again to another Carside Chat. I'm just enjoying my iced caffeinated beverage this morning. And I was recently on a show, Jimmy G's Godlike Statues. If you haven't checked them out, please do so. But we talked a little bit about this topic, and I thought it would make a good topic here on the Batman Statue Collector channel as well. Maybe to help inform some of you that are maybe new to the hobby, or maybe some of you that are veterans that might just need the reminder from time to time. Believe me, I need the reminder as well, because I continue to make the same mistakes sometimes over and over again. But I thought maybe this video could help. But again, definitely check out Godlike Statues if you haven't done so. Okay, so these are my top 5 mistakes to avoid, while you're collecting. And again, these are my experiences. They might not be yours. You might disagree with me. You might agree with me. But at the end of the day, I'm hoping this video does indeed help. Delicious. All right. So these are in no particular order. Okay, I just want to make that clear. So I'm not ranking these or anything, but hopefully these are, again, helpful. Okay, number 1, maybe let's do it 5 to 1. I don't know. So let's start with 5. So 5 on the list is hype. Okay, don't buy into the hype. And I am responsible for a lot of that hype, because I am hype man here on YouTube, right? I mean, I get excited about statues. Usually the things that I'm reviewing or getting in are things that I am permanently going to have in my collection, or at least for a long time. So I get excited about them. And sometimes that excitement is contagious. It is infectious, right? And so I get it. I get it why it's easy to fall into that. But also at the same time, like some people have said, hey, Chris, if you really like this Joker piece and you review it, that's good enough for me, right? But if you don't want the piece and you just feel like, well, everybody else is getting it, so I have to get it. I feel like, I remember like the Thanos on Throne was really great, right? From Sideshow. And I remember so many people just got on the hype train because of that piece. And I think that most people were glad that they bought it. But there were some that are like, I didn't really want it because just everybody else was getting it. So there's always going to be pieces like that where you kind of feel like you should, or maybe you feel like you should because of resale. Like you're like, I know that piece is going to be really popular. I know I'm going to get more money for it. It's not a great buyer's market right now. So maybe some of that kind of hype has died down where you feel that pressure to buy to resell. But there's always going to be hype around new stuff, right? We're kind of like, in a lot of ways, we're kind of like addicts, right? We have to continually get that fix of the new shiny thing, right? The new shiny toy. And so sometimes we fall into that hype just based on that. But I will warn you that try not to fall into the hype. Make sure that you like the piece, that you really want it, that you're not just getting it to fit in with the Joneses, right? Okay. So that's one. That's number 5, okay? Don't fall into the hype. The second one is, I'm going to say, do not buy outside of your means, okay? A lot of collectors that I've seen over the years, they get in a lot of trouble. They get into a lot of trouble because they overspend. And it kind of falls into the hype train too. Like if you're hyped about a statue and you don't really like it, but you get in this financial trouble, I always recommend spreadsheets. I've talked about them a long time. I use like Google Sheets or whatever, Google Drive, to keep track of my current list. I have all of my items itemized and all of that good stuff. But it's really easy to say, I want this one, I want this one, I want this one. And they're so expensive these days, most collectibles, that it's really easy to order well beyond where you're at. A lot of companies offer the payment plans, which hopefully that helps. But like I pool all my money into my account. I never use the payment plan. But for me to be able to visually see where I'm at, I think is really helpful. Just blindly using your credit card, blindly charging everything. I have seen, again, some collectors even in my own group that have gotten into a lot of financial trouble because they haven't really kept track of that stuff. It's caused problems with their families, with their spouses, for overspending. And so there is a domino effect if you don't keep track of that stuff. And if you spend beyond your means, that also could cause stress, could cause health-related issues. So I think you get what I'm kind of saying here, that, don't spend beyond your means. Have a budget in mind if possible. You only live once, right? So again, I understand why people spend that way, but also I think you should try at least to be responsible so it doesn't cause all of those domino effects of stress, right? Those negative effects of the hobby. Okay? That was number 4, I believe. Number 3, let's say on the list, is the damn boxes. Okay? Whenever I was on Jimmy's show, it was JWR. He talked about boxes. And I have stressed since day one, don't throw away your boxes. Some of you will say, I'm never going to sell. That's not true. There are some times in life where things happen, where you might need to sell something, or you change your mind. You might change your mind. And so if you do, you need to have the boxes, especially if they are polystone, if they are resin. If it's a figure, you could probably wrap that in bubble wrap. If it's a Hot Toys and you don't have the box, you might be able to pull that off. But if you have a $2,000 Prime 1 statue, no one is going to want to buy it unless you have local pickup. I live in the middle of Kansas. No one's going to pick up stuff for me. Well, maybe one of you someday if you want to tour the Batcave. But you know what I mean? Like, you have to have the box. And some people say, well, I throw away the art box. Why? It's flat. If you're going to keep the styrofoam, keep the art box. I threw away the styrofoam. Don't throw away the styrofoam. The styrofoam is the most important part. But if you're keeping the styrofoam, you might as well keep the art box. You might as well keep the brown shipper. It is that simple. Please keep the boxes. Is it freaking annoying? Is it probably the most annoying part of the hobby? Yes. But it's essential if you are ever wanting to get your money back, or if you're ever wanting to sell it and move on to some other hobby. There's a lot of people that are leaving the hobby right now. A lot of people coming in. But I'm telling you, if you are new to the hobby, don't buy statues that do not have those things, that do not have the art box, that do not have the shipper, because chances are, if you ever sell it, no one's going to want it. Okay? Now, again, some of you are going to disagree with me on that point. Like, Chris, I don't have the room for it. No one has the room for these boxes. Nobody does. But you have to find a spot, whether it's in an attic, storage bin, storage shed. I know it's annoying. Believe me, I know it's annoying. But I think it's very important you keep the boxes. Okay? So, again, collector mistake, don't throw those away. All right, that brings us to number 2, and that is when it comes to selling a statue, make sure it's something you really want to sell. I'm very guilty of that because I have bought and sold and rebought and sold statues multiple times. Whether it's Prime 1 Huntress, whether it's Sideshow Hulk, which I think I bought 3 times, I have been guilty of doing the same thing. Because sometimes you maybe need the money at the time because you're trying to fund another statue, okay? Like, oh, I really want to get rid of this one so I can get this one. But then as soon as you get rid of this one, you instantly miss it. You're like, crap, I should not have sold it. I have been guilty of that. I know some of you have been guilty of that. And sometimes it's very difficult to get that statue back. Okay? Like, I recently got XM Sanity. If I turn around tomorrow and say, I need to sell it because I really want a new David Finch art piece, and then as soon as I sell it, I'm like, oh, I should not have done it. I shouldn't. I just felt I felt that pressure. And that kind of goes back to, again, keeping track of your spreadsheets, keeping track of all of that. Because sometimes you feel like, oh, I need to do this to get this next shiny new thing. But make sure that you want to sell it. Make sure it's not just an impulse. Make sure it's something that you really legitimately can live without. My whole collection is replaceable. I could sell everything in my collection, and would I miss them? Yes. But I'm not that attached to them. But I know some of you get that attached to certain pieces. And if you instantly regret something, that probably means that you didn't sleep on it. So take a moment, sleep on it if possible. You know what I'm talking about? Just give it a day to really think. I'm thinking about selling a few pieces myself right now. And I keep thinking, if I sold it, would I miss it? Would I just regret it instantly? Would I be pissed off at myself? And if the answer is yes, and that's kind of where I'm at on this particular statue. If the answer is yes, then you're not ready to move on yet. Okay, so that brings us to our final collector mistake. I think the biggest mistake right now in 2024 is not being part of this community. This community is absolutely outstanding, and it is a perfect guide to help you along your collecting journey. If you go to any of the Facebook groups, and again, I'm going to plug mine, Batman Statue Collector Brotherhood of the Bat Collectibles on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The people in these groups, and again, I'm going to tout mine because I'm so proud of them. They're positive, they're helpful, they're constructive. If you have questions and you're not part of these groups, and I know some of you are like, oh, I'm not on Facebook, join us. You should be, because it is a fantastic freaking supportive community that helps you along your collecting journey. So I feel like a giant mistake is not being part of that. If you're just a collector on your own that just watches the videos, that doesn't really participate, and that's okay. You don't ever have to comment. You don't ever have to do anything in the group or comment on these videos. Just you watching is cool. But if you want to be part of something, and I don't want this to sound like a cult or something, but it's like, I just feel like it's so helpful. Like the people I see daily respond to good questions, respond, to good feedback. People message me all the time and ask for advice. It's like, I just feel like that is the number one mistake, is not being part of this community. Because this community that I'm so incredibly proud of is just absolutely amazing. And it makes me want to collect more. It makes me want to, it just helps me enjoy the hobby, knowing that there's so many like-minded people around me and around you. So again, to me, that's the biggest mistake right now in 2024, going into 2025, is just not being part of the community. You don't have to speak, you don't have to comment, you don't have to do anything, but just being there, reading what other people have to say, experiencing other people's joy and excitement about getting a new piece or pre-ordering a new piece, or the heartbreak of getting something broken and helping them figure out like what they could do to help it get fixed, and all that stuff. Like all of that, the stories for me, and belonging is the best thing ever. And that is the number one thing that I'm most proud about here on this channel and in our Facebook group, is the community that we've created. You've heard me say it before, and I'm going to say it until I die, right? I'm proud of this community. I'm proud of what we've created together over the last 8 years here on YouTube. So anyway, those are my top 5 mistakes that collectors make. Again, you might have different mistakes. If there are mistakes that you've made that I haven't talked about here today, please leave them in the comments down below. It might help another collector. And that is, at the end of the day, why we are here. Why are we here on YouTube? Why we are here together in the community is to help each other, to experience each other's joy, and continue to ignite the flame of this incredible hobby. Okay? Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. Again, I hope this helped a little bit, watching me ramble on. But again, I cannot thank you enough. Love you guys. Continue to be good to yourself and each other. I'm going to challenge you to help one person this week. Do something good for them this week. And continue to collect and be happy. Anyway, love you guys. I'll see you in the Batcave. Bye, everybody. Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching today, and if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button right here on the screen and check out these 2 awesome videos. I think you're going to love them. And also please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to have you join in all the fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. See you in the Batcave.